World War I saw the beginnings of U.S. women's military service outside of nursing. After the Great War, women's reserves were considered unnecessary, but World War II once again opened the dialogue of calling on enlisted women. The Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Army Air Force made room for women to free a man to fight in hundreds of non-combatant roles. However, the road to allowing women in the armed forces was long and difficult, with public opinion strongly against the idea initially. Regardless, women's branches like the Women's Army Corps, also known as the WAC, carved their way into a traditionally masculine field. They served both at home and in every major theater of operation, doing everything from working as mechanics to air traffic controllers and everything in between. WAC enlistee Mollie Weinstein frequently wrote letters to her sister stateside during the war. From her basic training in Florida to the post-war occupation of Germany, Mollie documented in detail her life as one of the hundreds of newly enlisted women in this new branch of the U.S. Army.
Dear Beck, by the way, I wasn't going to write to say I was in London. That is where I'm stationed, because I knew you would all worry, and if you promise not to say anything to Mom and Pop, I will reveal a few interesting items. In fact, I would have written a few weeks ago about it, but held off. But now I have gotten to a point where I feel a lot of those people back home who sit back complacently ought to know that there's a real war going on, and Beck, I see it every day. The air raid sirens are a frequent sound to us during the day as well as the night, and it means the real thing over here. I'm sure that many of the people I write to think because I write only of the pleasant things that there's nothing else that enters into our little lives. I don't believe that the people back home can grasp any part of the situation over here. However, the wonderful thing about it all is the one fact that will certainly defeat the other side, and soon, too. We continue with our work. Work goes on as usual, which, of course, is something that the Axis are totally unprepared for. I, of course, have many incidents to relate, which will have to wait until I see you. However, this one, through the courtesy of the censor, I know you will find interesting. One night, after a particularly busy day at the office, I was sleeping most soundly at our billets. It happened to be during the early days of these confounded things. Well, anyway, their roar was terrific, and yet I slept. I noticed a heavy feeling on my head and awoke drowsily to feel my bunkmate holding onto my hand and sitting on my bed. She had placed my helmet on my head, and we both listened for the damn motor to shut off. And fortunately, it didn't land where we expected it to. You can bet your boots we both felt to see if we were wearing our dog tags.
Out of the approximately 400,000 women who served in the U.S. Armed Forces, as many as 543 died in war-related incidents, 16 from enemy fire. While the U.S. feared public opinion and was careful not to unduly endanger the lives of their servicewomen, war leaves no one untouched.
Dear Beck, this paragraph you can leave out for Mom and Pop. Anywho, this morning while slapping on my makeup, we had a couple or two of those doodle bugs glide over our billets, or close enough to feel the vibration, which I can assure you was most uncomfortable. But did I stop my makeup? No. Anyway, we did hear two of them land. In other words, if the people back in the States think this war is already over, I do think they are a bit mistaken. Don't want to worry you now, or else I won't write you of the interesting things, so I'll sign off for now.
This was Mollie's last letter from England, but she gave no hint that she was about to leave for her next assignment. Mollie's next letter to her family was dated August 19, 1944, and was written when she was living in the tents and mud in Normandy, France.